Hello and welcome to the Success Showcase. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin from the Modern Observer Group. And with me, as always, is Chip Janiszewski from the Happiness and Success GPS. Chip, how you doing this week?
Doing great. How about you, Eric?
Doing fantastic. We seem to have skipped over fall here in New England, and we're headed into winter already.
Well, maybe next week will be spring.
Maybe. We went from 80 degrees to 20 degrees in about a week and a half. So we will see how the rest we will see how the rest of the season treats us.
Yeah, I hope it's nice next Wednesday night for the trick-or-treaters.
Absolutely. So last week we talked about setting goals. Today, we're going to follow up with this by talking about putting together your personal growth plan. And, like a business plan, for your personal growth, you really do need to figure out what it is you're going to do and how to get there. Now, unlike a business plan, which is specific to a business, there are a lot of different aspects that you can put into a personal growth plan. I mean, you can put career, finance, relationships, your home life, your health, learning goals, emotional goals, spiritual goals. You can put items about your hobby, maybe nonprofits you want to start working with. There's no end to what you can put in a personal growth plan. And because of that, it becomes even more necessary to have a plan because there are so many things you can be doing. The odds on your following through are a lot less if you don't have a plan to follow.
Yeah, and it's so important. We talk about this all the time. Most of us, a lot of us just get up every day and float through the day going to work and this and that, and whatever. And then at the end of the day, wonder what's going on. And putting together a personal plan, I mean, plan means working on yourself. And most people out there don't do that enough. And it really takes, you mentioned a lot of different areas as far as, professional, maybe vacations, family, all this other kind of thing. But what you really need to do is write down a whole bunch of things that you may be interested in on paper, start organizing them, and start planning on doing that. I mean, last week we talked about setting goals and SMART goals and so on and so forth. And your personal growth plan is something that you are going to apply your SMART goals to, because you're going to take a look at this list and then one by one, you're going to start ticking these things off. So, but the bottom line is you should definitely be working on that. Everybody should be, because it's going to make your life mean a whole lot more to yourself, and you're going to feel really, really great doing that. And I also recommend, if you have a family and you have friends that you like to get together with and so on and so forth, work on that together. Ask them about their plans, because a big part of this, once you put this together, is accountability. And if you're just going to be accountable to yourself, that's one thing. But if you start sharing your aspirations and your plans with other people, then they're going to ask you about that when they see it, and that's going to make it a whole lot better.
Right, and including family and friends in this, aside from holding you accountable, they're a big part of your personal growth. Who are you spending time with? Are you missing out on time with your family? Do you have certain friends that you don't see as much as you'd like to? Certain friends maybe you see more often than you'd like to.
Yeah, I mean, I just had a situation this past weekend where I had a friend that came into town from Portland, Oregon, high school buddy of mine. His father unfortunately passed away. I mean, he lived a really nice life down in Florida a few months ago, and he emailed me a couple of weeks ago saying they were having a memorial service this past Saturday up here in Connecticut. So he went, a friend of mine went, that, the three of us went to high school together, which, by the way, we all started 50 years ago this year at Northwest Catholic High School. So that was something to talk about. But what we did is the friend of mine that's up here and another friend that I saw last week, we don't see that often. We said, okay, let's plan right now and setting up a date to get to go out to dinner with our spouses. And this weekend, we already started sharing dates doing that. So one of the best things you can do is catch up with your old friends, because those really, I'd imagine, experiences for a lot of people out there, some of the most happy things you've done have to do with old friends that you have. So why not look them up and plan on talking to them, at least on the phone if they're nearby, maybe setting up a get together for lunch or dinner sometime. But that's a great thing to do.
Absolutely. Part of your plan should be, who do you want to spend time with? What do you want to be doing? Now, while you can include certain things about your job in here, and certainly your career goals belong in a personal growth plan, this is where you're defining what you want your life to be. And I know that sounds daunting to a lot of people, but when you sit down and actually put together a plan and figure out the steps that you'll take to get there, it makes it a lot less daunting. And it avoids a lot of, well, if only I had done such and such, or things should have been different. You're actually taking action to get to the life you want. We talked a while back about the book, The Science of Getting Rich. And one of the examples of visualization that Wallace Wattles used in that book was about a man who envisioned the house he wanted to live in. And then little by little started making changes to his home so that it matched the vision he had. Putting together a personal growth plan is pretty much the same thing. The first thing you want to do is put together a vision of what you want your life to be. Put together, to use a more corporate term, your personal mission statement. Who is it that you want to be? What is it you want to be doing? Figuring that out goes back to what we were talking about last week with setting goals. It's figuring out your why and what you want your life to look like. Then you're breaking that vision down into steps that you can actually follow. I mean, when we have coaching clients, one of the first things we do is we do an exercise where we tell them, okay, you've been in coaching for a year. Everything has gone fantastically. Everything's gone exactly the way you want. Visualize where you are. And we have them describe the office they're in, the house they're in, what they do with their days. And then the second exercise is to make that same description of where they are now. The steps that need to be taken to get from where they are to where they want to be become their plan.
Yeah, and using the SMART goal approach to that is a great way to do that. And one of the things that I would recommend doing is making several columns, and over one of them you can write down relationships, you can write down career, physical goals, self-improvement goals, education, and just start writing things down that you would like to do. And then if you start prioritizing them, then what you're going to do is have topics to work on, and you take those topics and you start developing SMART goals as to how you're going to achieve that. So we talked last week about physical goals. For instance, if you wanted to lose some weight, you would write down what you're going to be doing to lose weight. It could be something like coming home from work every day and taking a half an hour walk rather than watching television. It could be changing from soda to drinking water, a couple of things like that. But if you start writing down the goals by topic and then prioritizing things and then hitting them with the SMART goal technique, it's a great way to get started. And if you're doing that for the different areas of your life all at once, you're really going to be rounding yourself into one happy person, and you're going to also feel good because you're going to be achieving things.
Right. And just to clarify, we're saying things you're going to be doing, things that you want to be doing. Your plan should also include things you want to stop doing. Do you have bad habits you want to break? Do you just not want to be angry at people anymore? Do you want to watch less TV? There are things that you will stop doing in order to put in the things you want to do. No matter how detailed your plan is, there are certain limitations we all face. There are only 24 hours in a day. There are only 7 days in a week. So if you want to get everything that you want to do in, you may have to figure out some things that you don't care about doing that you've just done out of habit that you can get rid of.
Yeah, absolutely. You're starting with your emotional health should be number one, because if you're in a bad state of mind, you're not going to be able to do that much with the other parts of your life. So you make an excellent point there as far as that goes. And obviously, making your emotional health better means what I like to call the throwouts, throwing out a lot of things that you do that you shouldn't be doing, that if you stopped doing them, you would be feeling a whole lot better.
All right. And I can give an example, something that I actually do on a regular basis. A lot of people talk about the fact that you shouldn't immerse yourself in the news because there's all bad news and it's aggravating, it's upsetting. As much as I would love to be able to cut out watching news, one of my jobs is I do a radio show where we discuss the news. So I have to know what's going on. However, at least once a month, I take a period of time, usually Friday morning or sometimes, Thursday evening up to Monday evening, and I do not watch the news. I don't pay attention to it. I just ignore what's going on for that period of time. I still talk to friends. I still work. I still do things, but I don't watch the news. And I find by removing myself from it, I get less aggravated. My stress level goes down because, again, since I'm generally bombarded with it for my job, this gives me that time to reset my mind. And you can find things like this that if you stop doing them periodically, just for a little time, your mindset improves greatly.
Yeah, and if you make a concerted effort, knowing that you spend time in negativity land, and you make a concerted effort to start spending time in positivity land, what I am talking about is the fact that, as you said, most of the news is negative news. However, you and I both know, and all of you folks out there listening know, that if you want to go out and look for positive things that are going on in your life, in other people's lives, and start talking about that with your coworkers and your family and your friends, there is so much more good going on than there is negative things that are never going to get covered in the news. And if you go out there searching for that, acknowledging that in other people, encouraging people, complimenting them rather than criticizing them, that's something that you can work into a habit, turning your judgment around 180 degrees to complimenting people. It's really, really important that you work on that area and just realize that there's a whole lot more positivity out there than the news is ever going to cover. People are basically good. And if you can start developing that mindset, just being aware of that and working on it, magic is going to happen in your life. So that's one way to do that. Turn off the news for, a day like you're talking about, but also take out a list and start writing down people's names and things that are going on that are great that's happening out there. And you're going to say, hey, wow. And they're going to be a whole lot better and a whole lot more numerous than the headlines that you're getting updated on every day, every hour in the negative news.
Absolutely. And of course, this is just one example of a habit that you can stop.